The second round is officially over for the Miami Heat as they managed to surprise everyone and beat the Milwaukee Bucks in just 5 games. It was a crazy series, and one player that stood up big time last round was Jimmy Butler. He played out of his mind, and due to it, it has now raised a few questions about how good he actually is, in a good way. I've seen some people label him as a top 10 player currently. So, where does he actually rank? In today's video, I will be taking a look at Jimmy Butler and discussing where I believe he ranks for his position and also where I believe he ranks across the entire NBA. If you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content like this. I'm trying to hit 12,000 subscribers by October, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that all being said, let's talk about Jimmy Butler.
Lucas.
As I mentioned, Jimmy Butler was simply elite last series. He averaged a phenomenal 24 points per game and shot the ball incredibly well, 50% from the field and 45.5% from 3. That is just crazy, as in the regular season, Butler only shot 24% from deep, making that a 21% increase. Butler was also clutch last round, sinking game-winning free throws in Game 2 after the buzzer and hitting some huge shots in Game 1, in which he also dropped 40 points. It was overall just a fantastic series from Butler, and him and the Heat really couldn't have performed any better than they did. With that all being said though, where does this rank Butler now? Has this series helped him climb the rankings? Firstly, I'm going to take a look at where Butler ranks amongst his position, the small forward spot, and compare him to other players there. Now, let's take a look at the players Jimmy Butler is obviously worse than at his position, and also the players that he is better than. Other small forwards in the NBA that I believe are better than Butler are LeBron James, KD, and Kawhi Leonard, but I think we could leave KD out of this convo due to him being injured, but I'll keep him in there anyway. To me, those 3 players are far better than Butler without much contest at all. Now, who are the small forwards Butler is obviously better than? Guys like TJ Warren, Kelly Oubre, Bogdanovic, DeRozan, and I'd say Brandon Ingram as well, are all players I view Butler as being comfortably better than. I think a small argument could be made for Ingram being better. I personally don't see it, but he's definitely the closest to Butler out of the bunch I just mentioned. So with that all being said now, the debate over where Butler ranks as a small forward starts to heat up a lot more, as the levels of play between Butler and these next couple players are very close to me. So, let's discuss in some more depth who I believe is better between Butler and these guys. The first player I want to compare Butler to is Chris Middleton. Middleton actually had a really solid series against Miami and was the reason why they stole Game 4 and nearly took Game 5 too. In the playoffs as a whole though, he was quite inconsistent, and for that reason, as well as some other factors, I am going to take Butler over him. Again, whilst Middleton was good last series, Butler was far better, and since Miami cruised to a series win against Milwaukee, where let's be honest, Middleton was the number 1 option for the Bucks most of the time, I have to take Jimmy here. Many doubted Butler before this season, that he went to Miami just to lead a team and he wasn't about winning. But so far these playoffs, he's proved everyone wrong. He is a great first option, and Middleton simply isn't on that level. In terms of their overall game, I again think Butler beats out Middleton there. He's a better defender, maybe even or slightly worse scorer than Chris, but I'd say Jimmy is a better playmaker. I think if Milwaukee won this series, this discussion is a bit closer, but for now, I definitely have to say Butler is the superior player. I don't want to make it seem like the second round is the only reason why Butler is better than Middleton, but it's definitely the tipping point for me as to why I favor Jimmy. Hopefully that makes sense, but now let's move on to the next comparison. Jayson Tatum has exploded into an all-star this season on Boston and has taken yet another leap offensively in the playoffs. In 10 playoff games so far, Tatum is averaging 25 and 10 and is shooting an amazing 40% from 3 as well as stealing the ball once a game. Tatum has just been ridiculous lately. Is he better than Jimmy Butler though? Well, this is definitely a close one. I think Butler is a far more proven all-star player, though I think an argument could be made that this season, Tatum was a better offensive player and maybe has more in his arsenal than Butler. However, I think I'm still going to lean towards Butler on this one, but I'm not too sure. Tatum is more consistent, but Butler is a better closer and steps up in big moments, more so than Tatum arguably. Butler is also a better defender, but Tatum is a better scorer. In advanced stats, Butler is better in most categories like win shares and VORP, but I don't think these stats necessarily represent these players accurately. To me, I don't think we'll have a clear answer to this until after the Eastern Conference Finals. If Boston win Game 7, it will make a Boston-Miami series, and whoever's team wins that and whatever player outperforms the other will more likely be seen as better between Butler and Tatum. Basically, if either of these players makes the finals, I'd see them as the superior player, but as of right now, it's very even. If I have to choose any player, it's probably Butler right now, but if you have Tatum, I can't be mad. Again, it's very even to me. So with that being said, I have Butler as the 3rd or 4th best small forward in the NBA, depending if you include KD or not. I think that's a fair ranking, and the only real question mark is Tatum, but I think once the Eastern Conference Finals are done, we'll get a much clearer answer on that one. Let me know if you agree with those rankings below, but now let's take a look at where Butler sits across the entire NBA. Is he a top 10 player? Personally, I view Butler as around the 13th to 18th best player in the NBA. Guys like LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, Stephen Curry, etc. are players I think we can all agree on and say are comfortably better than Jimmy Butler. As we get closer to the 8 to 13 spots, it does get a bit closer, but I'd still take a guy like Paul George, Nikola Jokic, and Damian Lillard over Jimmy Butler. This is why I view Butler as probably the 18th best player in the NBA at worst, because in my eyes, he's on a very similar level to Tatum, who I believe is around the 15th to 17th best player in the NBA. Also around that ranking is Chris Paul, and Butler and him are very comparable players. Both are veteran leaders who do a lot more than what their stats say. They make their impact on and off the court with their leadership and work ethic, and it contributes to wins. So I think it's fair to rank them around the same area. Overall, if I have to be specific, I'd say Butler is the 15th best player in the NBA, but anywhere up to 13 is fine in my opinion. I'd say he's in the category of established all-stars and borderline all-star starters too, and if he does take Miami to the finals, I think he could potentially be a top 10 player, but as of right now, I think that's a bit premature. So overall, these are my thoughts on Jimmy Butler. He is a top 3 or 4 small forward in the NBA currently, depending on if you include KD into that conversation. And I think he's on a very even playing field to a guy like Jayson Tatum. It's overall a pretty close comparison. Across the entire NBA, I'd say Butler is a top 15 player, but I think you could place him anywhere up to 13 or as low as 18. It really depends on how you value him. For my rankings, his insane impact on and off the court helps him be bumped up quite a fair bit. He does so many things that aren't in the stat sheet, yet impact his team heavily. At the end of the day, Jimmy Butler has just been amazing these last few weeks, and he's a big part for as to why the Heat are the scariest team in the NBA right now as they look to try steal the 2020 NBA championship. If they actually will, we'll have to wait and see. But what we all know for sure is that Jimmy Butler is going to play a huge role in their potential run. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? How good is Jimmy Butler to you? Is he a top 10 player in your eyes? Let me know all your thoughts on this down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.